Okay, I'm sorry I'm not singing. I think singing is way more interesting than talking. Um, so I've been reading these Oregon Defender Crisis articles. I've been keeping up with it, but it has more significance now. So proportionally, one out of every three cases eligible for a public defender is getting one. So there's only one third the amount of defense attorneys necessary to adequately represent accused low income people or people entitled to a defender in Oregon, and it's a crisis. Not to mention they're overloaded with their caseloads. My friend who's a was a former defender was telling me like they're amazingly overloaded. Like they don't even know the name of the client they're claiming to represent. It's horrible. I've seen it. So I had three OPB articles and three articles from this wonderful law blogger called Stephanie Volin, Volin, and she kind of has a specialty at looking at Oregon State Bar and corruption in the courts and the like the certification aspects of being a lawyer. I love her. I'm so glad I found her. But she has some great articles about the defense crisis. So I copied three of her articles and three OPB articles from Conrad Wilson and somebody else, one of them, and was like just gonna send them to the courts, kind of like, hey, basically, I know they know. I know they could go find it. I don't know that they read Stephanie Volin, and I think they should, because I think she's amazing and very snarky and funny. Um, and then I caught up on the director of Oregon Public Defense Services, OPDS. I think it changed name slightly at one point, but kept the same initials, something silly like that. But Steve Singer basically had a lawsuit. So his lawsuit just settled. I think it was July 18th for like 300 and something, 320K. But he was suing for multi-millions. And ooh, what a bombshell Stephanie Volin has on that. Basically, it looks like something like the attorney basically there's a threat on him of a retaliatory prosecution, and I don't know what for or even what type of insinuation is behind that, but his attorney Ashley Albies, who I've sat behind in a Portland courtroom, she's amazing, was arguing for, I think, a motion to suppress basically background information that surrounded the investigation of the Oregon public defense crisis, in which was it the Attorney General or the Oregon Supreme Court literally, I think it was the Attorney General forced I don't want to say it wrong, like basically packed a bench to kick him out, and he was viewed as he wanted to do too much reform, or he was too abrasive, is what they say. And I'm like, to me, it looks discriminatory. I don't know. I'd like to hear more about that. Steven Singer. So I was dropping off these files to just give a copy to the DA and the courts, and then this fellow walks in with like a takeout, and I thought he was like a jury member or a member of the public or a family or something. And then I walked past him, and like I recognize him as Bo Peterson, the judge who prosecuted Ben back in the day, when he was young. Well, and here's the thing: he grew a beard. He looks sort of like 10 years older with a beard, and I'm like, way to go on incognito mode for a judge. And it appeared that he had his dad coming to court with him for like bring your dad to your job day or something. He had this sweet little elderly old man with him holding his takeout and his notebook. And then I was like, that couldn't possibly be Bo. And I think he saw me do the double take, because I think maybe he recognized me before I recognized him, because I sort of avoid him because he's just one to probably smile. And then I'm just not into being too fraternalizing with these And so then sure enough, he has the keys and he's like unlocking the courtroom and he's wearing Birkenstocks and jeans and like a black t-shirt. Completely approved of his hippie style of like hot summer wear. And the courthouse is sweltering. There's like no AC. It's a mess. I asked if they had any AC inside and they were like, we have fans. Um, and I felt like, oh, well, is that why I just really had to come down to the courthouse? Because his energy was weird. So like if I'm sort of into the subconscious body language read, um, I got a like, don't worry about it, everything's gonna be okay vibe from him. So today I got a 56 page, it's my 7 declarations in support of my motion to dismiss. And some of it I skipped over, but I read through the handwritten portions of it. And it was actually like a boost. I got a digital version because I didn't make a paper copy because maybe because I'm cheap, or maybe I was just most eager to get it to the right people. And then I was like, I'll make a copy later. So I got a digital version. So I'm like, have to like, I've got my eyes are so bad now. I have to hold things like way far because I'm in my mid 40s, right? And they just did a sudden weird twist in like the last year, or 6 months or something, where I need bifocals, and these were supposed to be bifocals, but I put in the wrong prescription, and I don't know if I'm ready for bifocals, so I'm gonna think about it. But anyway, I'm like reading on my tiny little phone, my 56-page document, and I'm all like, oh, I got this. I'm okay. Everything's fine. And then today I watched some lawyers, like this guy was so good, this like Linwood, Washington attorney and some Arizona attorney, just to kind of brief up on. But then I go into these like moments of total despair. That's kind of what I wanted to talk with you about, is like balancing sort of mental health crisis as a factor without imperiling one's safety. And I really do not like being messed with. And I'm trying not to betray my family because I don't really want special treatment. Just because like I have family who are federal employees doesn't mean I know everything. I'm not a perfect person. I really feel less and less and less inclined to think a 1955 wiretap law. I actually even opened up a YouTube to what an actual wiretap is, which I don't know. I do believe, however, my crafty little smart engineering minded physicist type brother was doing a wiretap at the family home in like 1990. 7, 8 maybe, when he would have been like 14 or something. Because why not, if you've got an engineering mindset and it's just kind of fun to learn about technology? But in no way is running a speakerphone or like a conference call on speakerphone onto a video, like mindset wise, I don't want my face in it. I just didn't know how else to capture the inflammatory audio. The audio was outrageous. And the fact that he's threatening to prosecute me for something that never existed, like false charges, credibility wise. Whew. I found some old emails with the police chief about the Obi Babs assault, when Quentin Mackey was assaulting Obi Babs, when Quentin Mackey was assaulting Dwayne Blair. I called the OPDS to find out my position on the waiting list for attorneys. And then I'm thinking that I've seen a couple times my friends do like the pro se with the consulting attorney combo package, where they really feel more gratification representing themselves, but they have like the attorney kind of on the sidelines, basically too busy to do anything, but just there in case you need an attorney. But there's always that. And then if, say, 94% go to plea bargain, you have like a 6% chance of trial. And I was looking at the term demurrer, which I'm taking it to have something to do with motion to dismiss. It's like an admission, but a like, no, this should not be pursued. And then also things about arbitration, because I made this motion for arbitration and restorative justice, like an alternative dispute resolution. And that was just like, it just came to me like, Eureka, this is it. And I was actually reading the Oregon Revised Statute somewhere around 135 pertaining to that it could be ordered. Like it is completely a possibility. So that's kind of cool because it should be. And then I feel like the flamboyant allegation that I would wiretap anything is ridiculous. And in that I was capturing evidence for a state agency investigation, you'd think that were like a consideration. But okay, I'm doing good. Gosh, I'm sort of cute in a really weird way. I look like my dad with hair. I look very manly with his big nose. That's not the point. So I'm kind of excited about gathering a court posse. I want written statements. Nobody wants to write statements. They say they will, and then I'm like, show me the statements, yo. And then I feel very sad about Kenneth Hansen, or is it Kenny Hansen, or is it Ken Hansen? The little cop who investigated Chris Duffy slamming me down with his 6'7" frame to pin my arms and legs while he rubbed his penis on me after flashing his Meals on Wheels credentials with CCA, Class of Community Action, who I outed to the county 2 nights ago. Ever so subtly, as you can hardly fit anything into 2 minutes. But Kenny's role helping Chris Duffy get away with rubbing his genitals against me forcefully and violently. And then, also Kenny not doing anything when I contacted him about Corey Quint putting his hand on my throat makes Kenny Hansen a double offender in terms of bad on women's safety issues. And like, he's cheerful and happy-go-lucky, and his sons are adorable. Work for the Port of Astoria and the sheriff's department. The young son is like, I'm the nice Hansen. I'm like, I bet you are. But it's just kind of like, for all you know, I do for the community. It's why was he smirking during the interview? Why was it so funny? Was it because he's getting personal revenge, or because he finds the alleged victim's case preposterous? Or is it because and here's my realization today. Well, we still don't have wheelchairs available to go to the soup kitchen. So who cares if I'm getting prosecuted? Because my work is not done. I have not even attained ADA accessibility in the mindset of these people. They're just stuck on primitive retaliation mode, attack the whistleblower. We don't have women able to go and eat a meal this week. Like anyone who's been kicked out, nobody gets to eat at Lifeboat if they've been kicked out. And so what have I accomplished? Next to nothing. I don't have a settlement. I don't have a ruling from BOLI or an injunction or a board of directors removing the offensive discriminator. So I have to stay strong. This is like a long path. And I mean, some people are truly hopeless. I am to the point where I think Clatsop County is hopeless. Okay, please put that in a transcript. And I keep running into the sweet lady Judge McIntosh. And every time she sees me, she seems to look more and more forlorn. She was like almost like relieved that I'm just looking at my phone, walking along the road, and I'm like barely noticing her. And then I feel that the betrayal she did me as the woman protecting an abuser, I'm like, I didn't betray you like that, lady. I stood up for women. And that confidence you get from doing the right thing, that was what I was riding on this whole time, this whole saga, is that confidence through right action, through righteousness, through standing up for what's right, gives you a lightness in your heart. And right now, I think what I'm infected with is the poison of their negativity and their attempt to cover up their wrongdoings with more wrongs. And oh man, Navalny, 19 more years, assassination in Ecuador, stuff happening in the world. Norway, what's up? Flooding, there's a lot going on in the world, including I have a little laundry going, so I can't be on this chat for too long. I would love to be in Los Angeles sometimes where like literally there would be carjackings and homicides and the police and the court system wouldn't have time to fuss with you're in a domestic violence center trying to get a clothing voucher. Someone's screaming at you. You make a recording for your protection. You're the criminal. like, Goonies land. And like the laughability of it, it just smolders of resentment. And I'm like, what did I filed that Ron Brown was livid with rage at me for having K2 call him to investigate his mishandling of the Duffy case. Like, he's very biased against me. He's rageful. There's more I can say that he shouted on the phone. Maybe he's so concerned with phone calls because he himself has been an abusive man on phone call with me. Oh, yes, in his statement about so-and-so. Don't forget that. I have a good memory. I feel like I keep trying to tell myself, oh, this is like the senior center, like my mashed peas are like too cold or something. This is like Nurse Mary, come heal me. I'm just this aging DA with nothing better to do. Let me pull at your pigtails. Like I'm just like, how many boys do I need surrounding me like flies, making me feel creeped out? Because you're a creepy boy, you're a creepy boy. We have these other creepy boys. You know about what those creepy boys did to me. And now you're all like lining up to get some. And like, they want to be schooled by me, I know. And I think they already are. I can't wait to meet the new prosecutor. Somebody told me he's gay. I hope so. And if not, there's hope. And why was he just barred a year ago? That makes me so worried. He might be like, he could be 24, he could be 27, he could be something quite young. Or he could have been from a different jurisdiction like Washington and then just come over and get recertified. So he might not be that young. I think I know which one he is. There's a really snazzy district attorney guy who wears these most elaborately pleated trousers that perhaps nobody would be so snazzy unless they were a little bit gay. So I'm like, is it that guy? Because I could be prosecuted by him all day long. Sort of like could be my new best friend. And giving them like a WhatsApp about the county, it feels like a consultancy. I just feel like I'm not this cheerful though. I've cheered up for the recording. I've been in a total gloom. Last week, I took a bunch of clothing to the homeless, and poor little cop Randall, who's just about ready to retire, he's just so burnt out. He's like standing there with like 2 shopping carts plus the vintage shopping cart and waiting for Diana to come back for her belongings and whatever Shayna didn't want of the clothing I brought down there. He was like, yep, I'm throwing it all away. And I was like, oh, I thought, well, hey, I can keep you from having to put it in property and have a receipt and a ticket and like any retrieval of property. He was just going to throw it all away. So I took it and it was fun. I recycled it and I'm determined it shouldn't completely go to waste. At least it could go to one of those green box recycle bins, if not anybody needing it in the local community. And he seemed kind of relieved, and then he schooled me that if it's marked for a store, that you can get a ticket for having the shopping cart. And I'm like, yes, I know, but this is a vintage shopping cart from Marcy's antique store. It's been repurposed and recycled. What point do they cease to belong to And then he did sort of say thank you at some point because he kind of realized, wow, you're making my day easier. And then he was still waiting for Diana. And Brenda and I were like, will Diana ever return? Okay, that's all. I'll go check on my laundry in a minute.